Let's talk about Nitro.
Nitro number 88, also May 19th.
Kevin Sullivan had just been fired as the booker.
Oh!
By the way, they're in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Same as when Raw for this Monday.
That's right.
Flair at both shows. A completely different Flair on both shows.
He's 20 years older now.
Holy, yeah.
So, they opened with the announcement that...
Are you telling me he's not firing on all cylinders on one of these shows?
I didn't say that. I never said that. He's just a very different character.
Roddy Piper, Ric Flair, and Kevin Green had defeated the NWO at Slamboree.
That's right. They won.
Mm-hmm. So Oakland brings Flair out of the ramp for a promo. Ric Flair tried to claim with a straight face that last night had been the greatest win of his wrestling career.
Yeah, of his career.
Of his.
And you know what he said? And he said this in a lot of promos over the years. He says it meant a lot to him because it helped erase self-doubt.
Yeah.
That was like one of his go-to lines. That actually, if you ever listen to like a Ric Flair interview or anything like that, this man was plagued by self-doubt throughout his career. Ric fucking Flair.
Yes.
It's one of the main reasons he was so great.
Yes, he felt he had to prove himself every single day.
That's right. But he brought it up again here. He erased self-doubt about himself by winning this match with Kevin Green.
Yeah.
And Roddy Piper against the NWO. By the grace of God, he walked that aisle.
So Six interrupts, says that win was not legitimate. You did not pin the legal man. As he's ranting, Flair removes his jacket, ready for action, and Gene scolds him and warns him, points a finger, and says, Richard? Richard. Richard! Am I the only one?
You're the only one.
All right.
It's a goddamn name.
No, his name is Rick.
His name is Richard Morgan Fleer.
I've been watching Ric Flair, let's see, way more than half my life, close to a third of my life.
God, you're old.
I'm very old. Not as old as him.
No, that's true.
But this has to be the only time on video anyone ever called him Richard.
I doubt it.
Richard.
Hey, listen. They were talking on Raw last night when Flair came out. They said that he won his first title in 1974 with Rip Hawk. 1974!
Yes, I had not yet
I was
been
a
born.
zygote. I wasn't even that far.
I was too.
I was spermatozoa at the time.
Thank you. So,
Ew.
Six said Flair had... Where the hell was I? Oh, Six says, you said before that match that you could beat me. I proved last night and I can prove again tonight that I can beat you. He challenged Flair to a match. Flair said, Six, you're a fly in the ointment. I'm going to kick your flyweight ass.
That's right.
And he said this, and then they got into the biggest sissy slap fight like cats you ever saw, and Six ran away. That was not a great brawl. Lord Steven Regal versus Prince Iaukea.
I love this match.
Dude, this was... we got to add this to the list of great squash matches of all time. Regal beat his ass.
Yes, he did.
Beat the holy living hell out of him. He still gave him a bunch of offense.
See, I'd only argue it may not qualify as a squash match. It was just a short match.
It was a goddamn
where
squash.
one guy was working really stiff.
It was a squash match where one guy was like, I'm going to give you a move, and then I'm going to beat your ass.
He took him to the corner and started throwing the palm strikes to the face.
Oh, my God, it was great.
I actually counted Prince Iaukeia's moves. He hit two punches, and he did a series of roll-ups and a crucifix. And that's it.
The crucifix was key because, as they pointed out, and credit to the announcers for doing their job,
right?
That's the move he used to beat Regal for the TV title a few months ago. And this time, Regal kicked out, hit a reverse suplex, and put him away with the Regal stretch, where you hit him in the face again.
God, it was great.
It is funny. People who say things like, I don't like to watch squash matches. What the hell is wrong with you? That's what we all watch wrestling for, is to see one take an ass kicking. It showed Wrath and Mortis working Glacier over at the pay-per-view when someone came to Glacier's aid.
Oh, yeah.
And so this weird little Mortal Kombat mini division now has 4 men. Glacier, Mortis, Wrath, and Ernest.
Yeah, Ern
Miller. Couldn't even call him the cat. He's Ernest Miller.
Ernie Miller.
Yes. And this was the exact point where this little blood runs cold storyline, not that it was ever cool to begin with.
I was going to say, what do you mean now?
Well, it just became a complete farce at this point. Ernest!
Yeah, the debut of Ernest the Cad Miller.
Yeah. Masahiro Chono versus Dave Taylor. They teased that a mystery star would debut at the June 30th show in Las Vegas.
You know what was neat about wrestling back then? All of these secrets that were to be revealed. Like, next week, if we pay attention on Raw, if we tune in, we're going to find out what the Undertaker's secret is.
Sure.
They announced here that there's going to be that new star debuting at the WCW show in Vegas.
In 6 weeks.
That's right. There was always something that was coming. You had to watch the show to find out what it was.
So this was a hell of a brawl, as Taylor would just uppercut the shit out of Chono, and Chono would shrug them off and keep throwing them around. Eventually, Chono cranked in an STF and won. If you have only ever seen the STF when John Cena uses it, Chono's was better.
That was weird because like we had the Regal match, which ended with the Regal stretch, and then that was immediately followed by another match, which was almost the same, but not as good, followed by an STF, which is almost the same move.
Okerlund interviewed Sonny Ono on the ramp. Ono claimed that Chono owed a debt to him and to all of New Japan. He promised Chono's worst nightmare. Here's another one. Chono's worst nightmare would arrive next week.
That's right.
He was not going to reveal who it was.
Who was it?
I have no idea.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, you know what? I just have a guess. I don't know. Kurosawa?
Could have been.
I was going to say,
Was it Kurosawa earlier?
I don't know.
Who was was that
Sasaki?
Nakanishi? Manabu Nakanishi?
You think so, yeah.
Oh, it wasn't earlier then.
Yeah. I could be wrong. Could be Sasaki. That's possible, too. It's someone in New Japan from 1997. Anyway, I don't know how much English Chono knows or knew, but just having him point at Ono and shout in Japanese, good enough for me.
send you a buddy to have him tell a story about wrestling Chono. Brian. He's not paying attention. Go ahead, Brian. Go ahead.
He was there earlier. He was there in 92 for crying out loud.
Really?
Yep. Manabu Nakanishi was there in 92 and then 95 and 96. So it would have not been. See, I don't even want to find out who it was. I just want to wait and see.
Exactly.
What about Buddy Wayne and Chono?
Have him tell the story about wrestling Chono.
I will.
Yeah.
He's told it before. I forget it.
Man, all right.
It's a great story.
Yeah,
I totally forget it. Chono was funny or something.
Yeah. Buddy Wayne tells the story
Craig, tell the damn story.
Buddy Wayne tells it way better than I do.
Of course he does. He's Buddy.
I still can't remember it.
Doesn't matter. Scotty Riggs versus...
He had a word he kept saying, if I recall correctly. What was the word that he kept saying?
High spot.
That's right, high spot. That's right.
That's right.
That's right. It was Buddy and Chono worked together in the Maritimes.
Yeah.
When Chono was first starting. And Chono knew no English. So they would have these matches and they had a high spot. And so that was the only word that Chono knew. They would just trade a bunch of holds, and then finally Chono would go, high spot. And they would run through their high spot.
Yeah.
They just did it over and over. 30 straight days they would wrestle.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Buddy would have told that story a lot better.
He would have.
He would have had a better Japanese accent than
But
I
he
do.
won't be on the show for a while.
He
so we
hasn't.
will tell the
Next
story.
Christmas, I'll ask him when I'm
Fair
drunk.
enough.
Oh, God. J.J. Dillon appeared behind a desk and began to speak.
Twice.
This is so goddamn funny.
Get through this whole thing first. Hang on. If you've ever watched daytime television and you've seen a lawyer advertising his services to help you through your divorce or your accident or get your job back or whatever, that is exactly what this looked like. J.J. Dillon looking like every terrible daytime TV lawyer you ever saw. I expected an 800 number to flash on the bottom of the screen. Instead, he announced that Nick Patrick had been reinstated on a temporary basis.
Yeah.
So they show this video. It's 20 or 30 seconds. They show this. Then they go back to the arena where Tony says, we have a special video from J.J. Dillon. Let's play it.
Can I talk about the real best part that was even better than the fact that they aired this twice?
By all means.
J.J. Dillon is talking about the reinstatement of Nick Patrick. And he says, it has been ruled that Nick Patrick, based on his impeccable track record, has been reinstated.
Yeah, that's phony.
His fucking impeccable track record? He fucked the company right and left for a year.
Yes.
Right and left?
Right and left.
Wow.
Front and back.
Wow.
Inside and out.
Wetter is better.
Wetter is fucking better. And they reinstated this. Then they played it again. Should I tell the joke again? So then JJ said, it's been ruled that because of his impeccable track record, he's being reinstated. Because Wetter is better.
Right and left?
Inside and out. Up and down. So anyway, I'm done, Vinny.
All right.
What are you looking at me for?
I don't even know. M. Wall Street versus Scotty Riggs.
M. Wall Street.
Now let's review.
Was he VK Wall Street?
Yes, he was.
VK, he was Michael, he
So
was
it's
Mr.
interchangeable. Sometimes he's VK, sometimes he's M.
Here he's M. Now, sometime back, J.J. Dillon claimed he'd been reviewing contracts. He found that Wall Street and I believe Big Bubba,
That's exactly right.
their contracts with the NWO were not valid. they had a no compete or something.
Right.
Now, the ramifications for this were, I'm not making this up, Wall Street was no longer allowed to wear an NWO t-shirt. So he comes out in a t-shirt, has the WCW logo on it, with a red circle and a line through it.
Yeah.
He showed them, and they showed him. This is all incredibly stupid.
It was incredibly stupid, but you know what? After they reinstated Nick Patrick based on his impeccable track record,
Who was the ref here, by the way?
who was a referee here, V Wall Street, or M Wall Street, one of these goddamn Wall Streets, tries to cheat twice, but Nick Patrick stops him both times and basically helps Riggs win.
Yes,
So believe it or not, it all made sense.
it did. He stopped.
So
Wall
his
Street from
track
using-
record remains impeccable.
He stopped Wall Street from using the foreign object. He stopped from using the ropes, and Scotty Riggs won. There was a point in this where Zbyszko, they're talking about this thing with Dylan and Patrick. And at first I'll tell you what I thought Larry Zbyszko said. And then I went back and rewind. I'll tell you what he actually said, and I was wrong. But what I thought he said was much better. Wrestling combines the two worst features of American life. Physical brutality punctuated by comedic idiocy. And I laughed and laughed and laughed because that was so true. And I went back to check, and unfortunately I got the last two words wrong. He said it combines physical brutality punctuated by committee meetings, which isn't nearly as true.
What?
That's what he said.
How dumb.
I like your way better.
I did too, because mine was accurate. Oakland interviewed NASCAR driver Mark Martin, who came out with Flair.
Mark Martin. Mm-hmm. Cool.
They were there to plug a car giveaway
Wow.
they were doing, and Martin promised to win the race in Charlotte for all the WCW fans. And Flair invited Martin to stick around and watch him run 6 into a wall.
Was that supposed to be like a NASCAR reference, running him into the wall?
Yes.
Wow. Look at me.
They were in North Carolina. I promise you those fans got it.
Craig, tell me about the Lee Marshall Road report this week. Because I know you're a big fan of these.
They were going to be in Memphis. That's where Elvis is from.
That is where Elvis is from, yes.
And then he did a stupid song and incorporated Weasel.
Would you like to sing the song
No.
he did? He sang Heartbreak Hotel, and he added Weasel jokes into it. And then when he was done, Bobby Heenan, without skipping a beat, wrong guys in the ground.
Oh, that's what he said.
That's what he said. Without missing a beat.
Yeah, he's quick.
He's awesome.
He is funnier than Lee Marshall.
He is matching wits with an unarmed man.
They showed from the pay-per-view, Dallas Page came through the crowd to confront Randy Savage. This is so awesome, because Savage is in the ring, Liz is there, he's running his mouth, Page is afraid of me, he won't show his face. Here comes Page, and granted Page had a weapon. Yeah, the crutch that Savage had been using. So Page is the ring, Savage runs for his life. Never seen a man run so fast. He runs up the aisle and he's hiding, and then Eric Bischoff comes to run by his side, and once Savage realizes Bischoff is there, suddenly Savage needs Bischoff to hold him back. That's a heel.
I love that heel spot.
That is awesome.
I love that DDP is out there and he's got this crutch and he's beating the shit out of everybody with this crutch. And it breaks. And the crutch has got half of the broken part of the crutch hanging off of it. It's like hanging on by a thread.
Poor Virgil.
And he swings it like a baseball bat And I thought that broken, sharp part of the crutch could have flown into the crowd and killed somebody. Thankfully, it didn't.
Yeah, he ran down Savage for a while. Savage eventually hit the ring, and it was Page fighting off B-teamers with a crutch. And eventually they overwhelmed him, and the Giant made the save. It was a hell of an angle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank God for that Giant.
Thank God for this match.
Jeff Jarrett and Steve McMichael versus the Steiner brothers.
This was so great.
I was watching this trying to decide if I would ever get bored of watching Mongo versus Rick Steiner.
Never.
Just two big, scary mofos wailing on each other.
And you know what was great? They knew that would be great. And so the match was designed to build it towards the moment where Rick got in there with Mongo.
Yes.
For the first time in as long as I can remember, the Steiners actually wore matching gear.
Yeah.
And Rick wore the same two boots.
Yes.
Wow.
They matched.
Astonishing. Yeah. They started with Scott Steiner and Jarrett. And not that Scott Steiner is not scary. There's just a difference between Scott Steiner and Rick.
It's getting bigger by the week.
So, Scott was significantly bigger than Rick here, but Rick's just different.
I don't even know why, but he is.
Yeah. I think because, at least on camera, even when Scott Steiner was Big Papa Pump at his peak, he was way more concerned about running his mouth and flexing his biceps. And then every once in a while, he beat a guy up. Rick just wanted to fight. And Mongo was there to be fought with. And so they did. And it was awesome. Awesome.
They were trying to kill each other. I'm convinced of this.
Yes.
Mongo goes and he gives him a chop block. That was the first thing.
In the front of the knee.
He does a flip.
Hard.
Not the back. He hit him in the front.
Rick went flying through the air after this chop block to the knee.
And then Rick just stops selling and he grabs him and he just gives him this giant shoot overhead suplex.
Oh, it was awesome.
Mongo just goes flying. Mongo doesn't know what he's doing.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he can kind of take a flat back bump, but he really doesn't know what he's doing.
No.
And Rick just threw him. Like, hope you land somewhere, buddy. Protect yourself the best you can because I ain't helping you.
Yeah. So this led to a mess involving all four men and Deborah. And
How can you not talk about the double down with Rick and Mongo?
Well, explain what I missed.
It was like the Titanic hitting the iceberg. These two dudes, it's like, oh, we got to run into each other, and they just run as fast as they can, and it's just like, bam!
Yes.
It was like the moon hitting the earth. A similar damage was done here in this ring.
It was quite great. So all four guys are involved in the finish, and there's Deborah, and there's the briefcase, and Kevin Green comes running out of nowhere, and Mongo's on all fours, and Green picks up this briefcase, and he brings it thundering down to earth. His target was not Mongo's back. His target was a space about 4 feet below Mongo's back.
His target was the moon on the other side of the earth.
He walloped him. He leaves. Rick gets the pin with the briefcase sitting in the middle of the ring.
They know, by the way, that this was the payoff to an angle at Spring Stampede 1 year ago.
Yes. That's a good point. And Mongo is incensed. He tries to get a camera to follow him backstage, but they had to go to commercial.
You know, it's Mongo guy. Normally, I would be upset that a guy would be hit so hard with the briefcase and immediately not be selling it.
It's Mongo.
It was Mongo, dude. Mongo gets hit with this briefcase, and he gets pinned, and then he's on his feet, and he is determined to kill Kevin Green. And he storms backstage, and after commercial, they have the best pull-apart, which consists of Kevin Green in a locker room. Mongo bursts in and screams, and I quote, "You want a piece of Mongo?" And the fight breaks out, and geeks go to pull him apart. It was amazing. You want a piece of Mongo.
Yes.
That's how he started this fight.
Yeah.
I'd add that after Green hit Mongo with the briefcase, I think it was Bobby Heenan that said, that briefcase looks like a Pringle now.
Yeah. He hit him really hard.
He was right.
I just realized the main events of these two shows were exactly the same.
Yep.
Ric Flair versus Six went a minute. And then as Six was winning, mind you, the NWO attacked for the DQ. All sorts of garbage flying in the ring. Hall and Nash hit their finishers. Nash gets a promo, says this is about putting Flair and Piper out of business. They warned Piper to stay on his mountain in Oregon, and they said they were too sweet and went to commercial. The main event segment was Eric Bischoff coming out for a promo.
Actually, before that, I did like how they explained why Kevin Green wasn't there, because Mongo was beating his ass. And, of course, Roddy Piper's not there because he's Roddy Piper, but Nash hits this release powerbomb, they call it, where he lifts Flair up and he just lets go of him.
Yeah.
Did look like he nearly killed Flair, but the fact that they actually called it a release powerbomb, like somehow this is more devastating than if you actually threw the guy down into the ground.
Sure.
Were they mocking Nash, or what was this all about? Why would you call it a release powerbomb?
I don't have an answer to that.
Anyway, it looked like he nearly killed Flair with this release powerbomb.
It's a good thing he didn't throw him.
So Bischoff comes out for a promo. Says he's been trying to reach out to Sting to invite him here so he can say something to his face, but Sting has not responded, so I'll have to say my piece here with no Sting. He says you'll never get in the ring with Hollywood Hogan. You don't deserve to get in the ring with Hollywood Hogan. Running him down, says if he was here, I'd slap the paint off his face. And then Sting pops up through the mat, and he grabs Bischoff, hits a reverse DDT, and that ended the show.
Do you realize we're still 7 months away from Starrcade?
Yeah.
They are so out of ideas with Sting.
Yes, they are.
I'll do promo, and you come up through the canvas, and you beat me up.
And
7 more months. 28 more shows before Starrcade that they have to fill with something involving Sting until he's finally ready for the match with Hulk Hogan.
This was a good 1 hour show.
This was so much better.
That's true. It was much better than the show before.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the last couple of weeks of shows have been horrible. But they did mention that it's back to 2 hours next week. Everybody can
Plan
be excited
accordingly.
about that. It's right, plan accordingly. And yeah, business is picking up here in late May 1997. Anyway, everybody, that's it. Anybody have anything else?
Nothing here.
I'm good.
Cool. Well, that's it, everybody. We'll be back on Thursday with Granny, NXT, Lucha Underground, and more. So check it out. We'll talk to you again after a while.
Good night.
Bye.